team like Kyrie and KD. Or the Lake Show with King James and AD. Wish I could match him up with the bad boys from the 80s. But no black and white, I need that in HD. HenDawgz.
Yo, what's good, y'all? It's your boy HenDawgz, and we back to it. You know how we do it. The best player from every decade in NBA history. I think this is gonna be a pretty good video, y'all. But before we get into it, make sure you subscribe to the channel. We are on the way to 10K. 10K, we almost there. So if you're not subscribed, go ahead and hit that subscribe button for me. I would appreciate it. And if you are subscribed, you a real one, man. I rock with y'all the long way. But yeah, let's get into it. We got the best players from every decade in NBA history. Kobe better be on here. I'm gonna be mad if they ain't got Kobe on here, man. This is gonna be an invalid list if he ain't on there. But let's get into it, man. Let's get it.
Founded in 1946 as the Basketball Association of America, the NBA League is entering its 75th season in 2021. There have been many legends throughout the history of the league, and in this video, we're going to discuss the legacies they created by decades. Here are the best players of each of the 7 decades in NBA history.
Speaking of that bubble championship, I was just having this conversation with some of my folks, and they was trying to discredit our bubble championship, talking about it don't count. It wasn't nobody in the stands. TJ Warren and Tyler Hero was playing like superstars. Like, I'm like, bro, I don't care about none of that. Like, we won a championship. We did what we had to do. I don't care how it had to be done, who was there. We did what we needed to do. But let me know. Let me know what y'all think about that 2020 NBA championship that the Lakers won. Is it invalid? Or would y'all say, everybody had a chance to win, so, somebody had to win it. But let me know what y'all think about that championship.
1950s. George Mikan. George Mikan was the NBA's first dominant player and its first real superstar. Coming from DePaul University, where he was a 3-time All-American, he signed a deal with the Minneapolis Lakers for $12,500 per year, then an astronomically high price. Standing at 6'10" and 250 pounds, Mikan was the tallest player in the league, as there were very few people on the planet at that height in the 1940s. The average center in pro basketball was around 6'7", and Mikan dominated with his size. But he was also extremely mobile, skilled, and could score with both hands. Opponents could not stop him, and Mikan's dominance forced the NBA to make several important rule changes. They widened the lane from 6 to 12 feet, instituted goaltending, and most importantly, they implemented the 24-second shot clock in 1954.
Okay.
Before this rule, teams would often stall the game as much as possible, so Mikan wouldn't get the ball, which resulted in games such as 19-18, the lowest score in NBA history. He was also an immensely popular player when basketball was still developing as a sport. Because of his fame, the NBA often sent him to games the day before to promote the game. The Lakers won 4 titles with Mikan in the 50s, and 3 more in the 40s, making him by far the most successful player in the early days of the league. 1960s.
Bill Russell. Okay, 1950s. I don't know too much about anything about that except the Mikan drill. This is a drill that we did in college. I think we did it in high school, but for sure we did it in college, and I hated it because I'm actually pretty athletic for a basketball player. I was one of the most athletic players on the team, so the Mikan drill is this drill that you do, when it's supposed to be for big men, but so it's just like you go back and forth doing layups. But because I was, somewhat athletic, the coaches used to always be like, jump, like touch the backboard every time, something that big men could probably do without barely jumping, but I had to really jump. So my coach used to make me jump and touch the backboard on every layup on the Mikan drill, and I used to hate it. So George Mikan, you a legend, but I hate your drill that you started.
Bill Russell. The season after George Mikan retired, another dominant center came to the NBA. While Mikan dominated because of his offense, Bill Russell was a revolutionary defensive player who could have led the league in blocked shots each year if the stat was counted back then. Russell won his first 2 titles in the 50s, but it was in the 60s where he and the Celtics became the best team in sports history. The Celtics took a strong hold of the NBA championship trophy and wouldn't let go like a green anaconda over a helpless capybara. Russell and the Celtics won every NBA title in the 60s, except in 1967, when Wilt finally prevailed with the 76ers. And even though Chamberlain was individually a better player than Russell, with far superior statistics, Bill dominated in the most important stat, the number of rings on his finger.
Winning. So if I had to choose right now, you're the GM, you're just watching this video, you're the GM of the whatever team, don't even matter about the team, but you got Bill Russell, a 25-year-old Bill Russell in front of you, and a 25-year-old Wilt Chamberlain in front of you. Which one is you choosing? Like, you can easily say Wilt because, he going to give me 100 points and he going to average 50 and 25, but is he going to win? It might be a rumor, I don't know, but I heard some stuff that when they counted, in the playoffs, finals, Wilt Chamberlain kind of came up a little short. Y'all see that picture right there behind me? Bill Russell, he got them rings on him, so when they counted for Bill Russell, he made it happen. So let me know right now in the comments who you taking, Bill Russell or Wilt Chamberlain.
Winning 9 out of 10 titles
9 out of
definitely
10.
puts him at the top of the board in the 60s.
9 out of
1970s. Kareem AbdulJabbar.
Kareem.
Ironically, in the next season, after Bill Russell retired, another dominant big man entered the NBA scene. It was Kareem AbdulJabbar, then known as Lou Alcindor, who was coming off 3 titles in 3 college seasons with UCLA. Kareem kept his winning habits, bringing the first and only championship to Milwaukee in just his 2nd season. While Jabbar only won that 1 title in the 70s, with 1 more finals appearance, there is no argument that he was the best player of the decade. Most people remember Kareem as the bald guy with glasses, who helped the Lakers win 5 championships in the 80s. But in the 70s, when he had a full head of hair, Kareem was simply unstoppable.
He was a
strong,
monster.
and yet extremely nimble and agile at 7'1". He was dominant on both ends of the court, which the numbers prove as well. Throughout the 70s, Kareem averaged 28.5 points, 15 rebounds, and 4.5 assists per game, along with 3.5 blocks, a number that would have probably been even higher if the NBA counted blocked shots in his first 4 seasons. 1980s, Magic Johnson.
Magic?
Even though Jordan was...
Shout out to the Bird Gang. But they picked Magic? They picked Magic that dominated the 80s? Oh no, man. I feel like they gotta add Bird in here somehow. I want to see what they gonna say about Bird, because there's no way they're not about to just not talk about him in the 80s with Magic Johnson. There's no way.
Individually by far the most superior player in the 80s. And despite Larry Bird being a more complete player, the title of the best player in the decade has to go to Earvin Magic Johnson. Magic opened the decade by winning a championship as a rookie in 1980. When Kareem went down before the pivotal Game 6 of the finals against the Sixers, Magic said to his discouraged teammates, "Never fear, EJ's here." He delivered big time, and starting at center, Magic scored 42 points with 15 rebounds and 7 assists, and won the finals MVP trophy.
Shout out to Winning Time, man. If you haven't checked into Winning Time yet, it's on HBO. I happened to be a part of it. I played 12 different people in Winning Time. But that was pretty much episode 10 right there. Was us winning the championship. 1980, once Kareem got hurt. We show all that in the show. Kareem going down, getting hurt, but hey, Magic came through. He came through, had 42 and 15. It's crazy, man.
Magic would go on to win 4 more titles in the 80s, 3 MVPs, and numerous individual accolades. He was by far the best passer in the league, one of the best leaders, and the biggest star at the time the NBA desperately needed one. 1990s, Michael Jordan. Michael was...
Before we get into Jordan, I knew for a fact he was going to be for the 90s. But yeah, do y'all agree with that one? I think the 80s one might be the most discrepancy one. I think a couple people might talk about Wilt kind of taking over Kareem, but I think Kareem pretty much everybody would say was the leader of the 70s. But the 80s, that's tough, man. Just easily just throw Magic over Larry Bird like that. I think that was kind of the end of Dr. J, so he might have been more 70s, but yeah, I think it was in between Larry Bird or Magic. So let me know in the comments right now, who do y'all think was the best player from that 80s decade? Let me know.
Called the GOAT by some people even before his first title, simply because he dominated the game of basketball like no one else before him. In the 80s, he averaged 33, 6, and 6, and did things that seemed unimaginable, jumping higher than it should be humanly possible. But he never went far in the playoffs. And then, after he added more muscle, after he started to pass the ball a bit more, and the rise of Scottie Pippen. Everything clicked for MJ and fell into his place. Jordan cemented his legacy with 6 titles in 6 finals and became a basketball deity for everybody who watched him play and for the generations yet to come. Everybody wanted to be like Mike, and he was shoulders above any other player in the 90s.
Well, yeah, of
both
course,
on the
Muggsy
court
he
and
was.
off it, reaching global superstar status unlike any other basketball player before him. 2000s. Kobe Bryant.
Let's go!
Mike retired for the second
Let's
time.
go!
The media pushed the narrative of the
2000s.
next Jordan for at least a dozen players. But nobody embodied MJ's skills and character more than Kobe, who was essentially Jordan's younger brother, as both were cut from the same cloth. Just like his idol, Bryant was maniacal in his preparation, maybe even more so. When I first played against him, I was surprised how technically sound Michael was. His technique was flawless. I wanted to make sure mine was just as flawless. Kobe entered his prime at the turn of the millennium and formed the most dominant 1-2 punch with Shaq, as the duo brought 3 more titles to the Lakers trophy room. At the end of the decade, he won 2 more with Powell, establishing himself as the clear-cut best player in the game. In the aughts, Kobe dominated with the same killer instinct that MJ had and made history with some of the most legendary games the league has ever seen, like 81 points against the Raptors or 62 3/4 against the Mavs. Kobe was absolutely unstoppable in his prime, and throughout the 2000s, he averaged 28 points, 6 rebounds, and 5 assists. Even though he won just 1 MVP and wasn't the best player on the team for his first 3 titles, he edges out both Shaq and Tim Duncan as the best player of the decade. 2010s. LeBron James.
Let me know. I know that might be the second debatable year. Who would y'all say is the 2000s decade player? Y'all know I'm going with Kobe. Y'all already know I am. I might even have to say that he need to be part of this 2010 too. Cause I think that's when we won our last couple championships, was at the beginning of 2010. So I would have to say he belong in that one too. But y'all know, some people might say Tim Duncan, some people might say KG, Shaq. Like, the 2000s was a super good time. Probably that was the reason why I fell in love with basketball around that time. But yeah, let me know who y'all think was that best player of the 2000s. Let's see what they got to say about Bryant.
Kobe's summit was in 2010, and as his career was slowly declining, it was King James's time to sit on the NBA throne. And even though it was obvious he was the next in line, nobody thought he would sit on the throne for the entirety of the next decade, and that his reign would spill into the next one as well. Bron went to the finals 9 times in the last 10 seasons, and with 4 titles and plenty of broken records, he's without a doubt the best player of the last decade. What he accomplished has only been done by Bill Russell in the 50s and 60s, but back then, to reach the NBA Finals, Russell only needed to win 1 playoff series. And despite a losing record in the finals, LeBron has carved his name and face into every Mount Rushmore discussion. And for some, he is now the best that ever did it, aka the GOAT. Thank you for watching. Please don't forget to like and subscribe.
I don't know about him being the GOAT and all, but he's top 3 I've ever seen. I give him that. Probably top 10 of all time if I had to, include the Kareems and Magics and Birds and all them. LeBron is probably top 10, but I appreciate y'all for watching that video. I think that was a really good video. What we got over here? The best 10 players of the 2022 playoffs. Every NBA's team, best point guard of all time. Oh, I like that one on the right. I think I'm going to react to that one. But yeah, I appreciate y'all, man. Make sure y'all subscribe to the channel if y'all haven't already. Make sure y'all like this video if y'all like this video. And go ahead and write something in the comments. Let me know some other players that y'all think would fit into those decades. Because it's a little tough when you go 50 to 60, 60 to 70. 99 to 2000s or 2000s to 2010, because I kind of like mess up players that was good from like 1998 to 2008. Like, it make it a little tough for those type of players. So let me know what players y'all think should be recognized more than they did in that video. But I appreciate y'all like always. We out.